We've all heard the legends of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. He's the ruthless tyrant who crushed kingdoms, the megalomaniac who started the Great Wall, and the man so obsessed with death that he built an entire underground army to guard his tomb. The stories are so epic, they feel like myth. But the real secret to his power, the key to how he took a land of warring states and forged an empire that would last for millennia, wasn't just his armies. It was something quieter, but far more brilliant. It was math. It was data. So let's forget the legends for a minute. The real story of how China was unified is written in cold, hard artifacts. These aren't just museum pieces. They're the data points that prove the logistical genius that unified a nation. And today, we're going to analyze them. To understand what the first emperor accomplished, you have to grasp the absolute chaos he was born into. Imagine trying to run a continent-sized company where every office uses a different currency. The Beijing branch pays in shells, Shanghai uses spade-shaped coins, and Guangzhou demands payment in knives. On top of that, a foot in one province is 16 inches, while in another it's 10. A bushel of grain in the north weighs twice as much as one in the south. How could you trade, collect taxes, build anything, or even send a clear message? This was the reality of the Warring States period, roughly 250 years of conflict. What we now call China was a patchwork of 7 major states and dozens of smaller ones. Each had its own ruler, laws, money, system of weights and measures, and even its own written forms. A merchant crossing a border needed currency conversion, language savvy, and local know-how just to avoid being cheated. This wasn't just inconvenient. It was the fundamental barrier to unity. The lack of common standards fueled distrust and made large-scale projects nearly impossible. An order from a king could be misunderstood or a tax unfairly applied simply because the tools for writing the order or measuring the tax were different from one town to the next. Conquest alone couldn't solve this. Swords could take territory, but standards were needed to run it. Into this mess stepped Ying Zheng, the king of Qin known to history as Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. From a young age, he began consolidating power. Guided by legalism, a philosophy of strict universal laws and centralized control, he launched a relentless campaign of conquest. One by one, the warring states fell. By 221 BCE, the wars were over, and he had done the unthinkable, unified the land under a single ruler. But conquest was only step one. An empire held together by force alone is an empire waiting to shatter. True, lasting unification meant rewiring the fabric of daily life, creating a single system that people across the realm could understand and use. The goal wasn't just to rule many peoples, it was to make one people operate on one set of standards. That pivot, from battlefield to workshop, shows up not in legends, but in the quiet, unassuming artifacts that have survived. First problem: communication. How do you rule a vast empire when an order written in the capital can't be reliably read in the provinces? Before Qin, written forms had drifted so far apart that a document could look like it used a different, nearly illegible font in each region. The emperor's fix was radical. Under his chancellor Li Si, regional scripts were abolished and replaced with a single unified writing system for the entire empire, small seal script. Elegant, yes, but more importantly, standardized. Each character had a prescribed form. Archaeological finds show this script everywhere. It appears on bamboo slips recording laws and directives, evidence of how the center spoke to the provinces. It's carved into stone inscriptions on mountains, public declarations meant for all. Small seal script became the language of law, bureaucracy, and power. By making everyone write the same way, Qin Shi Huang didn't just standardize writing, he standardized comprehension. An order meant the same thing everywhere in the empire. Script became the software of the new imperial machine. With communication stabilized, the next challenge was the economy. Currency in the warring states was a nightmare. Knife money here, spade money there, and round coins of different weights and values elsewhere. Again, the imperial solution was sweeping. The old forms were abolished and replaced with a single coin across the realm. The Banliang, literally half a liang, a standard unit of weight. This wasn't just money, it was a promise of consistency. The coin's round shape with a square hole made it easy to string and count. Archaeologists have found large caches of Banliang coins and even casting molds. The striking thing is the consistency. A Banliang made in the north matches one from the south. For the first time, value traveled cleanly across distance. Trade accelerated, tax collection became more efficient, and the economy wove into a single web. Perhaps the most fundamental standardization was of the physical world itself. If a merchant sells silk by the foot, but his foot is longer than the buyer's, someone gets cheated. If a governor collects grain by the bushel, but his bushel is bigger than everyone else's, people starve. The imperial decree addressed this head-on and was literally stamped onto tools of enforcement. Archaeologists have recovered bronze and iron weights, many bearing inscriptions from the first year of unification, clarifying that length, capacity, and weight were to be made uniform. These master standards cascaded down. Local officials calibrated their own scales from them. We see standardized capacity vessels for grain. Even infrastructure reflected standardization. Axle widths for carts were regulated so vehicles fit the same ruts across an expanding road network. Fairness, yes, but also control. With unified measures, the state could survey land accurately, plan tax yields, and supply armies and work crews with precision. You can only provision 1 million workers if you know exactly what a measure is everywhere. And then there were the projects. The early Great Wall works, and a city-sized mausoleum guarded by the Terracotta Army. We look at those estimated 8,000 figures and see art and ego, but we should also see standardization. The warriors were built from modular, mass-produced parts, assembled like an ancient production line, then hand-finished to give each soldier a unique face. Their bronze weapons show regularized production that suggests interchangeability within batches. That is logistics made visible, made possible by unified script, currency, and measures. The myths paint Qin Shi Huang as a tyrant who unified China through fear. The artifacts tell a complementary story, a systems builder who understood that a durable empire isn't just conquered, it's organized. The humble Banliang coin, the inscribed bronze weight, the small seal script, they re the tools that truly unified China and helped lay foundations for one of the world's most enduring civilizations. As for the emperor's central tomb, it remains sealed. Archaeologists have explored surrounding pits, but the main chamber stays untouched partly because of ancient accounts of hazards and rivers of mercury, and partly because our conservation technology may not yet be ready to protect whatever lies inside. Which means some of the story of this logistical revolution is still buried waiting. If you believe history is found in evidence, not just legends, subscribe for more stories where we analyze the artifacts that tell the real story. More archaeology, less myth. Subscribe to Unfolding Legacy.